everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Efosa Amoyal as always, and today, if you can tell, I'm super duper excited to be speaking to you, and I don't even know why, so don't ask me. Today, I'm going to be taking you through my journey post my first Lsat take, but before that, let me give you a little gist about my first Lsat take. So I took my first Lsat on the 13th of June 2023, and in the weeks leading up to this exam, my oh my was I panicky. I was anxious, I was nervous, I was scared, I was afraid that I may fail, and I was afraid of the process itself. I took the exam in a period that was very much after COVID, and so things were mostly done online. The Lsat had no option to be taken in person at this point, and it was only going to be online. So I had to gather my tools for the battle. I got about 2 routers, shout out to Lukman. I followed his advice and went to the MTN office to get an eSIM. For some reason, I can't remember why that made sense to me at the time, but we went to do that as a contingency plan and it didn't work out. The eSIM didn't go through because my phone was a double SIM, and I also remember, even though it didn't go through, it had reversed something on my phone. Oh, it was like, that period was crazy. The weeks before, I remember doing all night, staying up to study, having one-on-one sessions with my tutor, as I mentioned on my last video, and it was just intense and crazy. Anyone who knows me knows how hard I like to go for the things that I'm doing, especially when it means a lot to me. So 2 weeks before the exam, if I remember, 2 weeks, I had a nervous breakdown. I was panicking because, as I told you early on, I wasn't going into this exam knowing that I was fully prepared. I was going to go and try my luck there. And I had conversations with my tutor so many times, and he told me Lsat it's not a place where you take chances, or it's not a place where something just works out. Like, Lsat can humble you, and Lsat will teach you that it is the boss. So I was just scared and panicking, and I had a few calls with him, and he encouraged me, he motivated me. And I remember the day of the exam. I took my exam in the hotel room in Ardenta because I wasn't about to be home. You know, African parents, like the way they can be, oh, hey, sir, have you eaten? Like, when you are taking the exam. I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So I wasn't even going to take the risk of taking it at home. I booked a hotel, and Lukman helped me, mobilize everything. He helped me find the room. He helped me with my router. I had like 2 or 3 backups for my router because, hey, I was living in Ghana. I wasn't about to trust our network and the electricity and all of that. I was very, very anxious about that too. I think that's what even contributed mostly to my anxiety, because I was scared, like, what if the lights went out, or what if the network just glitched or something, right? So I was just genuinely anxious and nervous about all of those things. And I remember I have a video, maybe I'll try and insert it here, so you see, before the exam, Lukman and I were eating jollof rice, and we were playing a gospel song just to motivate me and put me in that zone to be prepared for the battle I was about to face. And I remember when it was time, I think I took the exam around 2 p.m.ish, and I sat behind that computer. You already had to do your computer check to make sure that your sound, the camera, and all of those things were working. And I remember when I sat behind the computer, I just heard myself say to myself that this is it. It is now or never. Like, there was absolutely no way I was going to back out of this, but there was one side of me that was like, you still can back out. But immediately I heard the test proctor's voice, I calmed down. I knew I was home. I knew there was no way out of this, and I needed to face this head on. I called on all the powers in me and told myself I was ready. I remember seeing the questions for the first time and thinking, oh, I should be able to do this because it wasn't far off from what I'd been practicing. One thing you should know about the LSAT is not content based. There isn't something you read and then you go to be questioned on what you've read. It is skill based. You gather skills from practicing and practicing and practicing, and then you go and meet new sets of questions that you've never seen before to apply the skill that you've acquired from practicing there. The LSAT, from what I know, there's been no question that's ever been repeated. Like, there are people whose jobs are to come up with new questions every single test. So the questions are not repeated. So there's not like, oh, I studied this to go and be questioned on that, or I studied this so I could go use that there. No, you just gather the skills based off of the different question types and all of that I would go into later, and then you go apply the skills there. So I saw the questions for the first time, thought I could do this, and then as I was going, I was like, I saw the time, the number of questions I had solved, and the time that I was seeing there, they didn't match. All of a sudden I started getting nervous and panicky and feeling like, what if I can't do this, what if I can't do this? And I had to like relax. And I remember my tutor had taught me like a way to run through questions very quickly, and then you come back again to do the ones that you weren't able to do. So all those things I also be telling you later into detail in my other video or in my next video. So I remember the test ended and I felt like I had, I pretty much got it. Like, I got it. Like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. That's what I thought. And so I had a very good night's sleep. I ate big and I slept. And 2 weeks later, the results come out and I see the score that I see, or the score that I saw. And I was like, yeah, I've already gone into that, so I'm not going to go into that anymore. So after the exam, 2 weeks after the exam, I was still taking classes. I was still going for my Zoom sessions and all of that because I wasn't confident about what the outcome would be, and I didn't want it to be, too long, because 2 weeks is a lot of time from LSAT. I didn't want to have to see the results, feel like I need to take the LSAT again, and I've been 2 weeks out of class. That would have made me lose touch, right? So I stayed in the sessions and kept going to classes and doing all of that even after I had taken the LSAT. And when the score came, I remember I still continued the LSAT, the classes and the sessions, until one time I told my tutor, I feel I need a break. I need a break from this, because it was a very hard experience for me, going through the process and then seeing what the outcome was, and then going, like, not even taking some time off. I went back into the deep, into the thick of it, to continue what had sort of bruised me in a certain way. So I told my tutor, for my mental health, I think I need some time off to be by myself, to think through all of this, to even reevaluate if this is what I really want. And I told him, I just had that conversation with him, and he was very, very, very understanding. He told me to take about a month or two off. And just about that period was when my company where I did my national service and my contract at called me and asked me if I had anything going on in terms of work, and I said no. And I was asked to come back because someone whom I worked under was resigning and they needed someone to fill the space interim. So I wasn't going to fill his position, but just be like a placeholder to do the stuff that he did and also help coordinate things. So I took it because at that point I'd taken a break from LSAT. I needed some form of distraction, so I took the opportunity. It wasn't only about the money, because the money was good, but then it was about the distraction and a break from all of the LSAT things. And so I started working, and just about a month into working, I heard that I had to come to Canada. And my dad wasn't, joking. He was like, when I heard I was supposed to come to Canada, he was like, you're coming next week. And so there was even a project that I was working on at work. I had to travel to see the outcome of all the planning that went into that project, but I couldn't because the date of the event was coinciding with when I had to leave Ghana. So I remember, you know, having a conversation with my manager and the other departments which were involved with the planning and the coordination, and I told them I had to leave and I wouldn't be around for the event. It was a very hard conversation, honestly, because how do you explain taking a contract and only a month into it when you're even about to execute, or you're even about to experience and witness an event that you put so much work into, you have to leave. It was a hard one, but they understood and I left. And I traveled out of Ghana in September 2023 and I came to Canada. And I remember before I left, my tutor had a conversation with me and said, you know, I'm going to get you to come back to this, right? You know, you're not just being let go. You are just taking a break. So don't let it get into your head. You are going to come back. And I remember feeling, I don't want to come back because I was disillusioned. I was heartbroken. I was devastated by the outcome of my exam, and it made me question my smartness, it made me question my intelligence, it made me question if this was something I could even do. So I wasn't in that zone to want to come back, but my tutor, kept pushing me. I remember I came to Canada, and my family too, because my dad kept asking, your break has been long, like, are you going to go back to your LSATs, like what's happening? And my tutor also kept asking me. So once again, out of all of the pressure, I just re-enrolled back into the classes in October. You see, that wasn't a long time, right? Like, imagine I left in June. I did the sessions a little bit in July, and I took a break, worked, traveled to Canada in September, and then in October I'm back in class. I mean, I still had it in me, so I bounced back to class and I started the online sessions. And the time difference was my biggest enemy. Class started in the mornings on Saturdays and Sundays, and in the evenings on weekdays. And it would be 7 p.m. in Ghana when we take the classes, and that would be normal time, 1 p.m. here in Canada for me. So then this also sort of influenced the kind of jobs that I was applying to. I couldn't apply to just any job. I had to apply part-time position to a job where I could, be fluid, so that I could have my classes at 1 p.m. Imagine like how unrealistic it is to have a Zoom session at 1 p.m. right? Because like if you're working, you start at 7, latest or earliest time you even close is 3:30 p.m. So like, where was I going to be working full time to be able to have my classes at 1 p.m.? So that also, affected that area of my life and ripple effect my finances, because I wasn't like, working the way I wanted to. It was a struggle. Weekends, when class would start at 11 a.m. in Ghana, it meant that it would have to start at 5 a.m. for me. And if it would start at 5 a.m., there was this thing where we had to post our shots of the test or the practice tests that we are taking an hour before. So it meant that I had to be up around 4 a.m. anyway. And I was a moderator of one of the classes, so every single Saturday I was up at 4 a.m. after like that back-to-back week thing. Ultimately, time difference proved to be a very, very big challenge for me, and I had to deal with it. I had to suck it up. I know someone may wonder, why didn't you switch tutors then? You're in Canada, find a new tutor in Canada who aligns with your time zone. Why have to deal with all of this? There was absolutely no way I was letting my tutor go. There was absolutely no way I was giving him up. This man had been there with and for me in different aspects of my life, even outside of Lsat, and had been very helpful and resourceful. More so, he knew the mind of a Ghanaian student. He knew how we thought. He knew how we had been taught. So he knew exactly how to break down the Lsat and how to teach the Lsat to us. So there was no way, like I had just been in Canada for a month, like my mind wasn't Canadian. Even now, I'm almost 2 years here and my mind is not Canadian. So there's absolutely no way I was just going to like look for a different tutor or a Canadian tutor here. I felt 100% secure in my tutor, so I stuck with him, and that's why I had to deal with the time difference. Like it was a no-brainer, even though it was challenging. And I would speak to my tutor about it sometimes. Winter even was worse for me. I'm my worst during winter. I'm a summer girl. Winter gets me depressed. Winter gets me slow. Winter gets me very, very, very unhappy. I'm my happiest during summer because the sun comes out early, and once the sun comes out, I'm like, oh, it's go time. And the sun takes a long time to go down, so it feels more like 28 hours than 24 hours. So I'm able to get a lot done because of the energy and the zeal I feel from it. So all that combined, oh my god, I was going through it, like finding a job, being in the job, combining that with the time different classes from where I was at the time, and just everything in general was very difficult. I wouldn't lie to say it was easy. Like it was difficult, and I had conversations with my tutor so many times. My tutor, you see all the nice things I'm saying about him? He's a no nonsense man, and he would call me different times to give me a piece of his mind, and not in a nice way, I promise you. So that will even get me more depressed, and I'll go think more about it. I'm like, he's right, you know. And then I come back. It was just really, really, really tough for me taking the Lsat here in Canada. Like in Ghana, I know I said I didn't get the score I wanted in Ghana, but I felt like if I had taken the second time in Ghana, it would have been a way smoother experience for me, and I would have even scored higher than I'd actually scored in my second Lsat. So yeah, Canada was very, very tough for me in the beginning in relation to my Lsat, and I had to take the Lsat I think in April of 2024, and I spoke to my tutor. He was like, "You're not ready this time." I didn't even try. I was like, "Okay, sir, I'm ready when you say I'm ready." I told my parents, and I had to get my tutor to jump onto a call with my parents. He explained everything to them. They understood it, and then I had to wait till 2024 September to take the Lsat, and that's when I took the Lsat. And the journey to that, I can't even begin to begin. I lost zeal, I lost drive. I was just doing it like I was almost like a robot doing something. Like I'll go for the classes, do this, do that, do this, do that, but not necessarily being present and active in the moment. So it was very hard. It was very, very hard for me. And I know I keep saying it was very hard. It was very, very hard. But that's because it was very hard. Okay? It was very, very hard for me. And I cried so many times. I was on calls with my tutors so many times. I would avoid my tutors so many times. And the entire process was just something else. But what I took out of all of it at the end of the day was I gave myself a pat on the back for being able to go back into the whole process and throw myself into the deep and thick of it. It was just very interesting to see myself go through that entire thing. Because me, something is not working, or if something is not helping me the way I wanted to help me, or going the way I wanted to go, I'll dog it, or I'll leave it fast. But I was able to come back to this and go through that journey to say, I tried something once, it didn't work, I'm not giving up, I'm going to do it again. Like, it was very impressive to myself what I was doing. At the same time, very annoying because it was hard and stressful. But yeah, ultimately everything went the way I think it should have. And yeah, I want to be able to go into the details of the Lsat in like a special individual video where like all I talk about is what the Lsat is like, things I did to study for the Lsat, how I got to my score, how I was able to increase my score from the first one to the second one. And you would hear me talk about my tutor a lot because he's like 100% in my story. Everywhere and in everything, he's there, and he was there. So you'd hear me talk about him a lot. Forgive me, but that's because that's what it is. Okay, So I will connect you guys with my tutor because I want you to be able to experience him the way I did. And if you want to take the Lsat, he's absolutely the best and only person in Ghana and in Africa, I dare say, that you should go to if you want to really go to law school. So until my next video, I will be doing most of the things that I like to do because it's summer, and I will be trying as much as possible to pray and fast. And so I hope that you are able to do the things that you like to do, and you have an awesome week. Thank you so much for sticking and staying with me through to the end. And if you've been here and you've made it up to this point, then why not just subscribe, leave a comment, like, and share. Thank you so much, and until my next video, mwah.